Well, the Easter weekend nearly always proves pivotal in a season, depending on where you are in the league, and this year it didn't disappoint. A defeat and a win for Argyle then, leaving them, well, where they started, at the foot of the table, but it has bunched up very, very tightly heading into the final two games of the season. This is Argyle analysis, and we'll be looking back over the two Easter fixtures. Lots of things to digest, review, and try and come to terms with, because I don't think anyone's quite sure where we are in terms of how we should be feeling with 2 games to go and Argyle being where they are. But that's why I've got Aaron Cusack with me, as always, to try and make sense of it all, if you can. How are we feeling now, to be honest?
I don't know. I mean, after the result yesterday, prior to the other results coming in, you thought, the performance merited the result. And then you look at the state of the league, and then you think, well, it's still out of our hands. But you've got to go into the final two fixtures, Charlie, positive. They've played well over the weekend, I felt, even at Borough. I know they didn't get any points, but I thought they played well. They played really well yesterday, so they've hit form. And I think at this stage, that's all you can ask in relation to things that they can control. Yeah,
let's just very quickly talk through the situation at the foot of the table before we get into the 2 games. So Argyle are there on 43. They are 3 points behind Derby and Luton, who both picked up really good, important victories on Friday as well. So because of the goal difference that Argyle have, it effectively means if either of those 2 win, then it's game over. There's a slight kind of slither of hope with Hull being in there, who are a couple of points further ahead again, and Hull actually play against Derby this coming weekend. So, it depends on that. But effectively, it is if Luton beat Coventry in the early kick-off on Saturday, Argyle won't be able to get past them. So it could be over before the next time we basically play a game. That is depending on some other results, but that's the most likely scenario. And that's a weird position to be in, having won, two out of our last 3 games, having beaten promotion chasers in Sheffield United and Coventry, and being on 43 points. There is a strong possibility we could finish bottom on 49 points, which is remarkable to think. But that is the Championship, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it was the same last year, wasn't it?
I don't think I cleared anything up there.
No, it's just all congested, isn't it? I mean, the thing is, they can only worry about themselves.
Yeah.
Naturally, they will have one eye on other fixtures. They have to. The disappointing thing will be, as you've just alluded to, Charlie, they've played really well this last month. I know they've not won every game, but other than the Swansea game, they've been in games, they've performed well, and they're mixing it with the stronger teams in the division. And yet, it might not still be enough. And that goal difference, we've been talking about that goal difference all year and how it is worth an extra point. But the other teams around them are fighting for their lives as well. So, that is the Championship. But the fact that they're still in it with 2 games to go demonstrates their never say die attitude. They've stayed in it. At one point they were in danger of being really cut adrift, and they've clawed themselves back in. And they can only just concentrate on the remaining 2 fixtures and see what unfolds. Yeah,
I was talking to someone the other day who said Argyle are the worst team at getting relegated, because every time it looks as if they're dead and buried, they claw themselves back out of it again. But anyway, let's look back over the last 2 games. It was a defeat at Middlesbrough, a cruel defeat at Middlesbrough, and then a win against Coventry. We'll start with Borough, 2-1 loss. Here are the goals, but there was a lot to admire about Argyle after even going behind to this finish.
Yeah, absolutely. And up until this moment, this was in the first 10 or so minutes, when it finished as getting a rebound. And I thought Middlesbrough started strong, and the way that they were playing between the lines very well. I thought Izaz was quite integral with their build-up, and you could see here the way he gets in those lines, and a lovely little movement on the highest line by Conway. Conway just lifts it over Hazard, and it fell into his path. But Argyle rallied well and deservedly got back in the game. That's just a ricochet. One would argue about runners and whatnot, but it just fell in his path. And then Bundu forces an error, and it's a real clinical finish. We've seen him do that a number of times this year and last season, and deservedly got back in the game. And there's something about playing Middlesbrough. I think they play quite well against Middlesbrough, because Middlesbrough are quite open and they are quite prone to giving you opportunities. And I think that suits the style upon which Argyle set up. And what I like, they harried, they regained the ball high. Muslic is one of his key objectives for his structure, and it leads to a terrific finish. And what I liked here is his composure. He regains it, he doesn't panic, he picks his spot and he plays through. And then, in the 92nd minute, no one needs me to remind them of what happened. Joe Edwards just got caught slightly wrong side, a very tickle on the back, and it's enough to send Conway to the floor. And it's a real disappointing end to what was, they deserved the point at least, I felt, and that was a real sucker punch.
There were probably rightly some questions of whether the players would then be able to pick themselves up following the disappointment of conceding the goal in which they did against Middlesbrough.
Absolutely.
And go into another must-win game against Coventry, because results actually sort of went in Argyle's favour a little bit on the Friday. And they go into Coventry, home park, sunny, Easter Monday, and win 3-1.
Easy, nice, and it's like that, isn't it? And Coventry had come off a really good win against West Brom, and they're trying to secure themselves in the playoffs. And I thought from the get-go, Argyle were brilliant. I mean, this is a great first touch by Randall, but what a finish by Bundu this is, Charlie. It's fantastic. To reverse it near post, there's no margin for error there.
Yeah.
And what I like is the ball's come in, they've stayed in the moment. JB's recognised it. Great first touch by Randall to take the nearest opponent out. And what a finish that is, near post. No margin for error. This is the best angle for me. I mean, you just see it here. We can just enjoy it. I mean, what a hit that is. Just inside the near post. And they rallied, straight away, got straight back into it. I think it was 0-0 at 40 minutes.
Yep.
And then from our own box, look at this direct nature, the hassle, the drive, the counter-attacking quality that Bundu brings with his athleticism. But Ryan Hardy's out of eye line there, but here he is, composed finish. What's that, his 10th goal in 12 games? But this is Muslic's style, isn't it? The regain, the energy, the aggression. You know, he's done brilliant, Bundu, but the best bit here is how he just composes. And what a pass that is. It's right on a plate. It's not overhit. You know, people will say, well, that's just a sideways pass. But look at the weight of it. It's absolutely perfect. And Ryan Hardy just comes on and finishes it. And then within, 1 minute, they were straight back in, you know. So, but this is our third goal, isn't it? You know, so this is to take the game away from Coventry, and deservedly so as well, because right on half-time, Coventry got back in the game to make it 2-1. And it was very similar to the Norwich moment where they scored super early in the second half. Could Argyle hold on? Well, yes, not only that, they could get the third goal. Paulson has to be given a lot of credit here as well.
Yeah, it's a superb header.
It's a great header,
Paulson.
you know. He comes onto it, really direct, aggressive. Bundu anticipating it, stays in that moment and finishes it.
And then the next bit was adding the firepower up front. Yeah. And we've seen recently Ryan Hardy, as you mentioned, he's got 10 for the season in the league, 12 in total. I think 8 in his last 7 games at home park as well, which is insane.
Yeah, insane, yeah.
And Bundu now is 3 and 2 and is doing really well. But also Mohamed Tijani. Now, he didn't score on Monday, but he started the first game since the opening day of the season and just caused carnage.
He just caused mayhem, didn't he? And like I said, I don't think he had a shot, did he, all game? But
No.
It's not about that. He's not perhaps in there to score goals. I know that sounds a bit bizarre being a forward, but it was his ability to break play up. I mean, they can't enjoy playing against him. He's a nuisance, isn't he? He's a huge man. You know, he's as strong as an ox, and he makes it difficult for the opponents. Now, there's a real significance in that, Charlie, because it invites Hardy and Bundu to do what they do best, which is to be attacking and be on the front foot. But look how niggly he is, you know, the fact that I'd hate to play against him, I really would. He's like just a battering ram, isn't he? And that disrupts defences. You know, look at him regaining the ball there, has no right to win it, but then it leads to a moment like this where we pick the ball up in good areas and we work it wide, you know, and because now you're on the front foot, as a result of Tijani turning the ball over again, it results in moments like this. We're getting Hardy in those good areas and, you know, Bundu in those good areas. And because we like this, Muslic likes this direct style, you know, he's got, you know, the ability to be difficult. On this occasion, we've got Bundu causing mayhem, but Tijani getting in the front area there. On another day, he chucks his head in front of it and he scores. So, you know, look at him drawing a foul there as well, but he never kind of gives up those moments. For me, Charlie, he looks a lot fitter as well. So he's now fitter, and you're starting to see the qualities that he does have. And when you've got Barley Mumba obviously flying down that left side, he had another good game, I thought. You know, Mustafa Bundu, who's on a crest of a wave. You know, look at these moments of causing disruption. Tijani at the back post there. So he was kind of always in and around it. And for me, this epitomises his defensive capabilities as well at 2-1. So at 2-1 here, he's just done one clearance. He's got his head in the way there, and then he stays in that moment. I think clatters his head on the floor. So just showcases his defensive qualities when you need him at the other end of the pitch. So it was a real good indicator of someone who's really, really effective as a forward, perhaps isn't known or put in there for his goal-scoring ability.